the feeding of the 4,000. Matthew 15:32 to 39. Also Mark 8:1 to 10. In Mark there is a clear difference in feeding of the 4,000 from that of 5,000. The crowd has been with Jesus for 3 days. The disciples know what supplies are available. There are 2 blessings. 7 baskets of fragments remain, and 4,000 were fed. There are many similarities. Those are the 2 accounts of the same incident. Theological motives are also same in Mark 8 and 6. This feeding of the people in the wilderness is the messianic banquet and anticipation of the Eucharist. The theological element found in the number of loaves and the basket of leftovers, 7, often taken as a reference to the Gentile mission of the early church. Matthew chapter 15 has a different and elaborate description from Matthew chapter 14. Jesus invites all Gentiles to the salvation of God. Matthew 15:32. Then Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for the crowd, because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I do not want to send them away hungry, for they might faint on the way. He called his disciples. The event is motivated by the compassion of Jesus as he takes the initiative. I have compassion for the crowd. The reason for compassion is that the crowd has been hearing Jesus without food for 3 days. Jesus takes the initiative. He is the refuge of weak. He understands their need and sufferings. God is kind, merciful, loving, and compassionate, and shows empathy to those who are suffering. So we need to offer and surrender before God personally. God is with us always. We should be conscious of the fact of the presence of God. In Mark 6:44, they were sheep without a shepherd. In Mark, the first incident took place all on one day, whereas this incident is spread over 3 days in Matthew 15:33. In Mark 6:44, they were sheep without a shepherd. In Mark, the first incident took place all on one day, whereas this incident is spread over 3 days in Matthew. Matthew 15:33, the disciples said to him, Where are we to get enough bread in the desert to feed so great a crowd? With bread in the wilderness. Combination of bread and wilderness calls to mind the Old Testament manna motif. God fed the Israelites with manna in the desert. Mark 8:3. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way, and some of them have come from a great distance. This verse speaks of the real compassion for the people. Mark 8:4. His disciples replied, How can we feed these people with bread here in the desert? Disciples asked Jesus to disperse the crowd. Matthew 15:34. Jesus asked them, How many loaves have you? They said 7, and a few small fish. Disciples failed to comprehend what Jesus was going to do in the light of multiplication of bread. How many loaves have you got? It teaches us that we should do what we can. We should take the initiative, and we should not shift our responsibility to others. We must help others in their needs and necessities. Since everything is a gift from God, give whatever we have to others as gift. The number 7 refers to the Gentile mission, that is, to the 70 nations of the world undertaken by the 7 deacons of Acts 6:1-7. Confer also Tobit 14:5-10. Verse 35. Then ordering the crowd to sit down on the ground, he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and after giving thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds to recline on the ground. Jesus himself asked the people to sit on the ground. He blessed, broke, and gave to his disciples. This description of Jesus' action is an anticipation of what he will do at the Last Supper, which in turn anticipates the Messianic banquet and the church's Eucharist. The disciples distributed food to the people. Here again, the disciples become distributors of the food. Verse 37, and all of them ate and were filled, and they took up the broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. Once again, Jesus reveals his divine character of mercy. 7 baskets of leftover. Here, too, number 7 recalls the nations of Canaan. Acts 13:19. God is merciful. Confirm Matthew 14:13-21. Verse 38. Those who had eaten were 4,000 men, besides women and children. After sending away the crowds, he got into the boat and went to the region of Magadan. Matthew 15:38 and 39. People considered this feeding of 4,000 a marvelous act. Matthew says Jesus went to Dalmanutha, whereas Mark says Magadan. This miracle teaches us many lessons. Life-giving bread will be given not only to the Jews but to the Gentiles. Thus Jesus gives them the foretaste of the kingdom. We must work hard for this life-giving bread from heaven. We must hunger for His word. Eucharist should become the center of our life. Catholic life must be under the kingdom of God. Confer Isaiah 58:6-11. Jesus is the life-giving bread.